Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout on TVC News. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today on the program, Governor Sanwo-Olu meets with President Buhari on anti-SARS protests, and it continues in Lagos. And later on the show, Senate President intervenes in ASU dispute with the federal government over IPPIS and other issues. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adekunle Yusuf. Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, things are taking a dangerous turn with the anti-SARS protests in Lagos. It's now day 6 of the protest, and this has forced the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to meet with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja on Tuesday to present the 5-point demand from the protesters to him. With road closures, breakdown of law and order, and deaths recorded, the protests have spread from Lagos to Ogun, Oyo, Kwara, Rivers, Enugu, with cross-border protests in Accra, New York, London, Berlin. Who and what will stop the youths this time? In the meantime, here is a video of one of the protests in Lagos.
Is everybody Yahoo? Nobody have any connection.
There you have it, an aerial view of the sea of heads who came out to participate in the EndSARS protest. Let me welcome my guests, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. BKO, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Adekunle Yusuf, our colleague, our regular, welcome to the program. We're glad to have you again.
I'm glad to be here too.
So, gentlemen, the protests are not just in Lagos and or Oyo now, but they're now taking place in Enugu, in Port Harcourt. Babajide, what will be that enduring solution that would make the protesters return to their homes?
Actually, beyond the demand for SARS to be scrapped, they wanted the president to speak to Nigerians on this matter. The president spoke yesterday. I think that's a good move. That was a good move. The VP also spoke. So there can be no doubt in the fact that the government sees these agitations as legitimate. The president said it with his own mouth yesterday. He said that there were genuine concerns. Yes, as a nation, it has taken us so long to respond to the aberrant behavior of SARS men. Now, the government has said it is prepared to address the concerns of these protesters. They are not just protesting, they had a 5-point demand. Before now, people were not even sure that there were demands. They came up with a 5-point demand. The 5-point demand has now been adopted by the Presidential Committee on the Reform of the Police. With that, I think basically everything that they wanted, the government has done. Because if we go deep into the demands, you see clearly that it covers basically everything that anybody protesting against SARS wanted. And so between yesterday and today, the government has taken two bold steps. The president has spoken on the matter because the people said, look, we are not going to listen to the IG. The IG had prescribed SARS in the past. He had promised reform in the past, and we've not seen any form of progress. It is the president that we want, and the president has spoken on the matter. Yes, it may not be in form of a formal address of Nigerians, but he spoke at an event and he made this mind known to Nigerians on how he feels on this matter. So I think that basically all the demands have been met. The moment the 5-point demand was adopted, then you can say that by the 5-point demand of the protesters was adopted, you can safely say that everything that they wanted has now been done. So we wait to now see the release of people, protesters who have been detained, because it's part of the demand. And the government has said that it has no problem with implementing that.
Now, Adekunle, it's a very tough time to be president in the country, you know, amidst the EndSARS protests. If you were president now, what decisions would you make, you know, to assuage their demands? Because I say this because one of the things people are saying is that it's one thing to say that you have adopted the 5-point demand, but we're seeking execution.
Well, yesterday I was on a platform and I did say certain things. I said if I were the president of Nigeria now, I would never allow anybody to issue statements. I will not delegate any authority. This time around, I'm going to seize on this moment to write my name in gold, to change my legacy. Of course, I must have by now some legacies, but to renew or even make it better. You know, understand my point? That is, on this matter, I'm going to do a high-powered panel, number one, that will probe into all the urges of brutality, you know, cold-blooded, you know, killings, atrocities, all the things that made SARS, you know, what, you know, we are talking about today. And I'm going to make sure that this is a panel that enjoys full authority of my presidency. You know, they're going to sit in Abuja, and I'm going to make sure, and I will address, you know, the nation. Then they will go from state to state. That's stage one. Stage two, after coming up about, you know, information about the level of atrocities, you know, that have happened, I'm going to make restitution. I'm going to make sure that people are compensated. Through SARS, many homes have been totally, you know, destroyed in Nigeria. Many lives have been maimed for life. Yesterday, I was in one hospital, and one doctor who is a victim was talking to me. He said they arrested him right in front of his own hospital, SARS, you know, operatives. And what was the offense? It was even in this, you know, doctor's jacket. They say no, they don't care about that. That they saw that he tinted his glass. With all approval, he showed them. They said they didn't want to visit it. Then they said, look at the rim on this on his tire of his car. So they said this thing looked like they took him to the ATM. He said in Ireland from one bank to another.
They didn't use POS. No, because we hear some of them use POS.
Until they got money and they said bye-bye. So the point we are saying is this is an opportunity for our president to actually not just do have adopted your demand. No. This time, when you look at from state to state, when state governments set up task force, maybe to control traffic or to do certain things, you will see this kind of excesses. When you look at our military, you will wonder what the rules of engagement are. When you look at SARS, you know, so when you look at this is an opportunity to change the whole thing once and for all. And when you do a panel, look at what is happening to the EFCC now. Initially, it was Magu, but the presidency said no. We want to reform the entire thing called anti-corruption fight in Nigeria. Beautiful idea. this government can do the same thing now. That what should be the civil, engagement with civil society, with our security operatives, be it at the state level, federal, or anywhere. So if you start it, the way we recruit our people into the armed forces, we have to, change a lot of things about it. With the way we train them. Then the same thing, the way we recruit people into the police force,
police as well.
the way we train them, so that rules of engagement. Some of us have had opportunity of being in other places. I've never seen any police that behaves like Nigerian police. I've never seen any soldier that behaves like Nigerian soldiers. I've never seen anything like this, and this has got to a stage that we cannot paper over the cracks anymore. We need to do something decisive.
We'll look at the 5-point demand of the protesters, but that will be a bit later on. As the EndSARS protests continue to spread across the country, let's take you to Akure, Ondo State capital, to see what some youths are saying.
We want to put end to all police brutality. We want to make sure they are actually recognize we are youth, we are not fraudsters, we are not criminals. We actually make our money legally.
May they leave us alone. Person no fit wear good clothes again. They go to say be Yahoo boy. Bring your phone, bring your iPhone. Which job they do? We are not a Yahoo boy. Now also with the house.
Nigerian youth are in solidarity against oppression from the Nigerian police, and we are rising against it, and we are speaking with one voice that this oppression, this brutality by the members of this special anti-robbery squad must end. That is why we are on the street.
If you don't chase them away from system, they will always go and keep revolving around what is not supposed to do. So we're only out here doing a peaceful protest. Nobody's holding anything. It's just about peaceful protest, doing what is our own fundamental human rights, and we all go back home.
The message is simple. They're genuine youths who are hustling for their own, independence economically. Now, these are some of the demands of the protesters: release of arrested protesters, justice for victims of police brutality, prosecution of bad eggs within the force, and retraining of EndSARS members, and of course, police salary increase, which is critical. And we touched a bit of some of these things yesterday on the program. Babajide, I want you to address some of these demands.
These demands are very sensible. They are calling for the release of all arrested protesters. They are asking for justice for deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation paid to the families of those victims. When I remember what the police did in case of the APUJA in Abuja, my blood boils. How can we have a police that will just suddenly waste partygoers who are returning from a party? And they didn't even kill everyone at the same spot. There was a girl that they now took to the office of the divisional police officer. She was murdered inside that office. And the people did it. They are still alive. They're still alive. In fact, they didn't kick them out of the force. This is the kind of country that we find ourselves. And then you are angry that youths are protesting. Why would they protest? Why won't they protest? You are calling them names. You are saying they are Yahoo boys. A lot of them, medical doctors, people who have good jobs. The people that I see, they are not Yahoo boys. Maybe there are a few Yahoo boys, but more than 80 to 85% of the people that I've seen, they have nothing to do with criminal background. Solid people. They want a change. It is when it affects us as a people that you see Nigerians, they will now be complaining. Nigerians are naturally sedate. If it does not concern, they'll say, how come he's the only one protesting? That is the attitude that a lot of our people have. And that attitude is strange because you go elsewhere, in other countries, even bread, ordinary bread, if we increase the price of bread, they will force the government to reverse the increase. We have seen it happen. I've seen even presidents chased away from office because he increased the price of bread. Jafar Nemeri here in Sudan. That was how he lost his presidency. So some of these demands are legitimate. Police may have no business killing people the way they are doing, and they do it with believing that nothing will happen. Part of the demand is that they should set up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct. Why are they asking for independent body? Because they believe that the police will leave their own people. Murderers within the ranks of the police, they kill people, you let them go. So they are not convinced that when the IG makes all kinds of promises that he will fulfill those promises. That's why they are saying independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution. Then they're also saying in line with the Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Meaning that you are not just going to redeploy. Those SARS men do a mental evaluation, check their brains to see whether some of them are not actually maladjusted, to see whether some of them are not deranged. We do not want to keep maladjusted policemen within the force. That's the point that they are making. Again, that is legitimate. It is those maladjusted policemen that are destroying the good name of others. So if you simply want to redeploy, no, they are saying, no, don't just redeploy. Because by redeploying a murderer, you are keeping him within the system. So they are saying their brains, they need to check them psychologically and mentally so that we will be sure that they are fit for redeployment. So it's not everybody that should be fit for redeployment. That's the point that they are making. Then the last one, they said there should be increase in police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting lives and property. Very solid demands that these guys have made. I have absolutely no quarrel with all these demands. I want the police to be better paid. And they have asked for that. So you can even say they are not selfish. They are not talking about themselves alone. They also want the policemen who kill their friends to be better paid. Because the anger arising from poor welfare also leads
transfer to the people.
Yes, to needless shooting of people. Imagine a policeman. I said, it's not a movie. Here in Lagos, a policeman was begging his boy, said, "Oga, give me the honor of shooting him." And eventually shot that boy. It's just that we can't show some of those things on TV. The stories that we hear about the police, you would think that it's fiction. Well, look now, they've embarrassed the whole country now. It's trending all over the world. You see world leaders. You see the people like Celine Dion. Celine Dion, one of the greatest songwriters that the world has ever seen. One of the best vocalists that you will ever encounter. She said, my heart is with Nigerians on this EndSARS thing. She too tweeted #EndSARS. You see people like Rashford,
UK parliamentarians,
Raheem Sterling. There has never been anything in our recent history that has attracted international attention.
Well,
maybe the Chibok girls.
No, it didn't get people. People didn't tweet like this.
No, it also got a lot of international sympathy.
I know, but not at this level. If you see the rate at which people are tweeting about it, how many of those football stars at that time talked about beyond the...
All right, gentlemen, we're getting international attention now. We have Oluwaseyi calling from Coventry, UK. Oluwaseyi, welcome to Journalist Hangout.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for a very good job that you guys are doing. Yeah, thank you very much. I've been your very good fan, since I've been watching this program now since 2016, and I don't miss it any day. Even if I don't watch in the afternoon, I'll make sure I watch the big broadcast at night. SARS is a big problem in Nigeria. Very, very big one.
It is.
I lived in the UK for over 12 years. I was in Nigeria last November. I can't remember the last time I have been beaten in my life. I was slapped 4 times by SARS officials.
Wow.
Just because I dress good. I dress nice. I smell good. With my own hard-earned money.
With your own money.
I said, what did I do? When they just crossed the car I was in, and they stopped the car, and they said, Oh, yeah, you get that. I said, so when I realized it was Kapushi, I said, SARS, why are you the one that are doing this to us in our country? They said, I am insulting Nigerian police. I received the beating of my life. I can't remember the last time I was beaten in my over 40 years old living. But you guys just keep up the good work. Thank you very much for
Thank you very much, Oluwaseyi, for sharing your experience with us. You know, it goes to how Nigerian youths will just decide they want to leave the country and not return. That's an experience from a Nigerian youth who now lives in the United Kingdom.
The trauma will make you not feel like coming home. There are many people like that. Why should you beat a man? You know, for what? In his own country.
Now, we're talking about the demands, and, you know, someone said it is the kind of police force that we breed that we will get. And this reminds me of an investigative report one of our colleagues did some years back that showed the squalid conditions in the Nigeria Police College in Ikeja. If that has changed, Adekunle Yusuf, will we still be talking about this? And while you are responding to that, I want you to address other aspects of training that this 5-point agenda should also cover while the panelists are thinking about addressing their demands.
When you look at just anytime police is recruiting, or even now, try to penetrate the system. The training in the Nigerian police, not restricted to the police anyway, our security organizations, virtually all of them. You are trained, I think, to be an extortionist.
The only group that does not blatantly beat up Nigerians, I think it's the civil defense.
I said it. I told you. The civil
soldiers are guilty.
Maybe I don't know what they did. They got it right. Of all our security organizations, give it to the civil defense. But now let's talk about the police. When you look at their training, from day one, the system extorts you. You, a new person, wanting to join the Nigerian police force, that you want to serve Nigeria, the system extorts you all the way. You have to buy this, you have to buy this, whereas in the system, everything is catered for. So who takes care of that, or who goes away with all that, we don't know. So when you pass through all this system, you will graduate to be somebody who loves to extort other people. Two, when you look at the training makes you to be something like a bully. You see the way they say ordinary civilians. We are not ordinary civilians. We put the cloth on that uniform. Whether you are a soldier, you are a policeman, you are whatever that you are nobody without us. We made you who you are, because it is the public fund that makes you, that gives you that training, then that gives you all the things that make you what you are, be it uniform, boots, everything, office, designation of rank. So, but they don't see it. They look at us like lesser, they say ordinary, bloody civilians. They say bloody civilians. All these things will change. In America or other places, even when you are committed an offense, you see the way they arrest you. They still talk to you. Sorry, sir, can you adjust a bit, sir? Your hand, sir. Can you move your hand back, sir? And they will handcuff you in the midst of people. There will be no pandemonium, no board, nothing will happen, and they will take you into their car. But in Nigeria, that is not happening. You will see robbery, it will take place. After the whole thing, the police will come when the armed robbers had left. And when the police, whenever they are coming, do you know what will happen? They will now be blowing siren. I would now ask, what's the meaning of the siren you are blowing? To tell the armed robbers that, please go, we are coming.
We are on our way.
You don't have to do this. What is actually wrong with us? Are we so brainless?
We seem to be getting a lot of international attention today. We have David calling in from New Jersey, United States. Good evening, David.
Yes, how are you doing? How's it going, guys? Mikhail and the other gentlemen, you guys are doing a very good job.
Thanks.
Just quickly, I was back home last year after about 9 years, and I was driving on Lekki Expressway.
Wow.
And the next thing I noticed was this Sienna bus. I noticed, was coming closer and closer every minute. all of a sudden, I just saw the boss open the door, and I saw someone in mufti with a gun, and he pointed the gun at me right in my face. Oh. And I was surprised. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do because I didn't know if it was a police officer. I didn't know if it was armed robbery. I didn't know what it was. And the next thing they told me was to pull over. I pulled over, and they came to me, and the next thing was started harassing and asking, where are you coming from? Why are you driving Mercedes-Benz? Well, different kind of questions. And, this was, stuff like this we see on social media, but this was, it was insane because why, even if you want to pull me over, why would you point a gun at me from a moving vehicle? And the next night I showed my ID. I told him I just, got back like 2 days ago, and, I was just taking my car to get, some plate number or something like that. And, I was really scared for my life. And throughout my stay for about 6 weeks, I had like 4 or 5 different encounters with different police with something similar. So I think this is, this is long overdue.
Thank you very much, David, for your contribution. He touched on the handling of firearms, and while we're still looking at that aspect of training in the force, amid the 5-point demand, a video surfaced online to support this, and people are saying, are these guys even well-trained, Babajide? It goes to the training that they receive in the handling of firearms as well, and we have so many accidental discharge.
Yes, a lot of them are not, they don't have good training. There are some people who have been in the police for up to 15 years, they've never handled a rifle. So, and for some of them who even handle rifles, they don't have sufficient training. Weapons handling, they are not so good at it. That's why people get killed and through accidental discharge. Sure. It's not that sometimes they simply want to kill people, but some of those deaths were unfortunate and accidental because of poor weapons handling. I remember an able man, somebody from the East, who organized a wedding. And during his wedding, they wanted to give him, the policemen wanted to give him a 21-gun salute just to add glamour and panache to the thing. They ended up killing the bridegroom. The groom. They ended up killing the groom. So this is the thing. They wouldn't have decided that they wanted to kill the groom. But poor weapons handling and all that.
This is the year 2021. Such stories about the Nigeria Police Force shouldn't be told, but sadly we're telling these stories. You're on to Journalists Hangout on TVC News. Still to come, Senate President intervenes to resolve ASU dispute with the federal government over IPPIS and other issues. Stay with us. We're very glad to have you back on Journalists Hangout, coming to you from TVC News. Senate President Hamad Lawan has waded into the dispute between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the federal government over the enrollment on the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPPIS, and other outstanding issues. The Senate President met with a delegation from ASU at the National Assembly to discuss the lingering crisis, which had made it impossible for some universities to reopen after the COVID-19 lockdown. Lawan said the meeting was to explore further how the Senate and indeed the National Assembly could intervene to resolve the issues that were yet outstanding. Who will blink first? Before we should even be talking about who will blink, the fact that ASU is on strike, many have said, is contributing to this protest because the students are at home and they're not doing anything. So they have found a very, very good place to pass on their energies to. But let's leave EndSARS now and look at IPPIS and the federal government. We haven't quite finished our conversation on that, but then again, what should the federal government give and what should ASU give such that both parties can come to a middle ground on the IPPIS issue? Babajide.
Well, I think that it has gone past the stage of coming to a middle ground. ASU will not accept a middle ground. ASU says it does not want the IPPIS. The IPPIS is a wonderful initiative that that the Obasanjo regime uttered towards the end of that regime. They've been able to save a lot of money through it. This government has taken it a notch further and has used it to take out a lot of ghost workers
yes.
out of the system. But it is not also foolproof. There are reports of people building, putting their relations even on the payroll and making money. All that needs to be investigated. And ASU has been saying that, look, we have kept quiet. We know those who are making money off this IPPIS thing. But I don't even want to go into the efficiency of the IPPIS as such. We are Nigerians, we know that our people always find a way around.
To cheat the system.
Yes, BVN, we found a way around BVN now, so the BVN is almost useless in the sense that people have effectively found a way around it, especially in the Federal Civil Service. Now, what ASU is saying is, in the course of their meetings with the federal government delegation, they said, look, if we can come up with a better alternative to IPPIS that is better than it, we will allow you to go ahead and it will be implemented. ASU had an opportunity to demonstrate how its own UTAS, how it works. In the presence of the minister, the presence of the PAMSEC, in the presence of the representatives of the National Universities Commission. After that, we've had the president now saying it is IPPIS or not. And you can understand the Senate president's frustration by saying, how do you go into agreements with people and then fail to implement such agreements? If you knew you were not going to implement an agreement, why go into it? Now, we are talking about the federal government issuing a memo that anything from November, anybody who is not enrolled on IPPIS will not be paid. But you had an agreement, true or false. What do you then expect ASU to do? ASU has said any decision that is not a product of collective bargaining, that it will have nothing to do, it will not be binding on it. And that's what they are saying. So at this point now, our children have stayed too long at home. Something ought to be done. Already, we've lost months to the COVID-19 lockdown. Even though government is saying, okay, 12th of October, everybody, university should resume. You and I know that it will not work. As we speak, SANU already issued a 14-day ultimatum, warning strike, 14-day warning strike. They are prepared to go on strike. Non-academic staff union, they have also served a notice of strike. So if you fling the university gates open, who are the people to train to teach
the
students? Because ASU will not back down unless you agree with their demand. So this is the thing. For so long, we've been negotiating with ASU without any seriousness on our part to implement the agreements that we reached with them. Since the Goodluck Jonathan days, those agreements are still there.
They're still there. Let's hear what ALWAN HASSAN has to say. He's calling us from Abuja. Sorry we kept you on for some time. You're on.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Babajide.
Good evening.
How are you, Babajide? Well done, Babajide.
I'm fine. That was Abuja.
More grace to your elbow, Babajide.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, Babajide, I think what is happening is much more than SARS.
Yes.
The people are tired
Yeah.
of the way the government is run.
Yeah.
There is a disconnect between the people and the government. there is no good communication. Kudos to the governor of Lagos State, and kudos to the people of Lagos. Lagos has shown to us that it is the home of civilization and democracy of Nigeria. Nobody in Abuja has come out to speak to people that are protesting. Governor Sanyo-Olu came out and spoke to protesters yesterday, day before yesterday, and maybe even today. Nobody is speaking to Nigerians in Abuja and other parts of the country. Babajide, if care is not taken, a society, there is no dangerous society in the world like that society that feels it has been rigged by the system. People don't trust the government. Our government, my government, should try as much as possible to build confidence in people.
Yes.
We need a social contract in this country. The government and the people need to sit down and outline the kind of Nigeria we want to live in. There is a disconnect between us and the government, and there is a problem. I pray this doesn't last or doesn't end up being chaotic. But whatever it is, let it be a lesson to our government.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, ALWAN Hassan, for your contribution. Indeed, the protests go beyond EndSARS.
Yeah, of course.
Let's continue now. Adekule, what do you think about the position of ASU that indeed the IPPS that the government is insisting on is against the spirit of university autonomy?
Yes, when you look at ASU as a genuine point, don't ever doubt them, because when you look at what the government is putting before, ASU, it takes care of civil servants, but when you look at the peculiarities of the university autonomy, what the university does and what the university doesn't do and all that, so they say, okay, let's come up with something. You agree with them. Why is the government always, as Jide said, reluctant to honor agreements? We need to see what is wrong in the proposition by us. Is it wrong? If it is not wrong, haven't we wasted enough time around the world when COVID-19, crisis began? University, system, crashed down. Now, during that time, some of them, especially in more developed societies, they rose to the occasion. They came up with virtual learning and all that. That didn't happen in Nigeria. Some private universities tried it. Our public school system in Nigeria lacks the infrastructure to do virtual learning. Even those who deliver it, our lecturers, how many of them are ICT, literate? So we're not talking about the infrastructures and so many other things. We've lost so much. Now, we haven't got over COVID-19 yet. Don't let anybody, think like that. But we are seeing now the COVID-19 crisis has been reduced to a level that we can resume our normal lives. Let learning, start again. Let's open up our school system. Now we come to mundane issues about IPPS, UTAS, and all that. This should have been sorted out so that now we just start, open this. Do you know many universities, 3 months or more, they are not paid as we are speaking? And many of them are finding things very difficult just because of this IPPS, UTAS, and all that. What's the big deal? They don't want a system that will be saying you have to liaise with the head of service, collect clearance, seek clarification.
Attached to the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation.
Whereas those are the things they said, let's take care of this and the university can run properly. University is not just collect salaries, they do research, they do so many things that ordinarily you don't have in a civil service.
Yeah, at the risk of seeming as if you were queuing behind, the universities, Babajide, in the absence of IPPS, ASU is always in and out of strikes because of the problem of funding. Now, if you now hand over the all-important funding of universities to a government system that has not been tested with the university system, aren't you throwing the universities at the mercy of a system that may not be trustworthy, so to speak? And you have also talked about how some officials have found a way of cheating the IPPIS system.
And it's part of the fear that people have. The IPPIS has, in some cases, even led to salary delay. And these guys don't want that. They don't want their salaries to be delayed. There are many people enrolled on the IPPIS who complain that they don't get paid in good time. So they've heard stories about the effectiveness or lack of it of the IPPIS. So it's one of the reasons why they say, look, we are academics, we are inventors, we are scholars. Nigerian academics have developed fantastic software outside of our country, and we can do it here. We can come up with a homegrown alternative to this IPPIS thing, and we are ready to show the world that it can work. So that is as long as you have not shown clearly for these academics to see that the option that they have is not good enough, you must find something else to say. If you agreed with the idea that they could bring an alternative to IPPIS, and they brought it in line with the agreement that you reached with them, and they demonstrated it to you people, only for the president to say, oh, it's only... Why did you get into such a bargain with them in the first place? This is what I quarrel with. And that's exactly why the Senate president is angry. That why do you go into agreements that you knew you would not implement, that you will not honor? So I cannot, since the government, the Ministry of Education said, yes, if you can come up with something that is good enough, then we will accept it. Then they should honor the award. That's the way, because how do you then tell ASU that no, go back? For how many months? We've been on this now for about a year. They've been dragging it. So for how long are we going to be arguing over the IPPIS thing? And the way it is, they have shown clearly that it does not particularly, it's not particularly suited for the university environment, where people do sabbaticals and all that. People who come from maybe a university in the US and come and spend some time on sabbatical training students here, and they too can leave from Nigeria and go to New York, the university. You know, so how do you pay such a person? So that's why they're saying, look, this cannot work. And then even the issue of retirement age, IPPIS has pegged it in the civil service, but in the university system is you must retire when you are 70. That's not the same. That's not the same with the civil service. Yet you'll be disenrolled. You know, you won't be paid once you are above that age. So the software, you can't be talking to the software and begging it to not do what it's been programmed to do. So this is the thing. They are worried for their welfare, and they are thinking, look, this is not what we want.
It really is a matter
and
of
the worries are
who blinks first. You're watching Journalists Hangout on TVC. We'll take a break now and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on Journalists Hangout on TVC. We're looking at, the dispute between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, over the Integrated Personnel Payroll System, IPPIS. Let's take Dr. Opeyemi Ashaolu calling us from Lagos.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much, Bukola.
Good evening. Glad to have you.
Good evening. I really want to appreciate you for the discussion on ASU's strike. It's quite unfortunate that the government has been so insensitive to all the demands of ASU in the last 10 years. And you find out that our education is becoming something else. And it's more like the government is taking education away from the children of the poor. Many of their children don't school here. The facilities are nothing to write home about. We do not have very good lecture room. And I try to even imagine it. If school should resume with this social distancing and every protocol that needs to be observed as regards COVID-19, I'm sorry, it's going to be something else. What about our hostels? So we really need to do a lot of conscious things to revamp our educational sector. If not, we're going to be sorry for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okpeyemi Ashalu, who's himself in the university system, so he understands a lot of things. Babaji was asking a critical question earlier on. He said, how long will we continue this way? Speaking of which, the president has said, if you're not integrated into the IPPIS, you are not going to be paid. And that was as early as the presentation of the 2021 budget. What are the implications of this for the education system, for the future of our youths?
It means we are expecting more decay, more waste of time, because when you look what is happening, Nigerian students have left university since when? For more than 6 months. Nigeria didn't have the infrastructure to engage them in virtual learning. Now, there's an opportunity to get back, to school. But because the government and ASU, unfortunately, this government are very, very pleased that they should go back and study the history of ASU. ASU is not an organization that can be easily beaten by labor.
Yes.
Like labor, like other groups that will make noise and disappear when you are expecting them, to rise to the occasion. Not ASU. ASU doesn't. I have a lot of problems with ASU and their protests, but there are a lot of things that you can never doubt when ASU is saying this and this and this and this and this. Please, you have to listen. At the end of the day, they waste a lot of time. At the end of the day, it's Nigerian taxpayers that will lose. Their children will find their ways, some of the people who can afford it, to very, very ridiculous universities in, the Republic of Benin and some other, small countries where education is like rubbish. I don't want to use that word on TV, but that's what will happen. At the end of the day, the federal government will still have come back to the negotiation table
with us.
All those periods or weeks or months that were wasted, the same government that is talking tough will pay full. All these, our, lecturers. At the end of the day, it amounts to nothing. Why don't you solve the problem now? Save the children, the parents, the agony of having to keep these able-bodied young men and women at home for unnecessarily longer. I plead with this government.
DK, let's set the Senate president on a course as he tries to intervene. What are the options open to him?
He has to speak with the president on this, since he has started intervening in this matter. Then he should see the president and convince the president to honor the government's word. Once you said that they could come up with another option that is good enough, so you are obligated to honor your word. That's why people don't want to do business. People don't want to engage the government because you have a feeling that the government will not honor its word. But people of honor their word. So government must honor its word on this matter. I pity the children who are at home. Look at University of Ibadan, for example. The people who are admitted to come in for the 2019-2020 academic year, they were yet to come in when the COVID-19 lockdown began. Now, They've been at home. They've been at home since March. Schools, children have been at home since March. That's about 7 going to 8 months.
Another gap.
What are we doing? They are inevitably going to lose a year from the way things are going, for no fault of theirs. We are setting back their education. You know, and it's not something. That's why these people will continue to get angry with government, get angry about the nation. So we need to just solve this problem and let our children be able to go back to school.
We hope that indeed government, provides a listening ear at this critical time to the academic staff union of university as they continue negotiations. That's it on Journalist Hangout on today's edition. Thank you for watching. You can join us again tomorrow for another edition. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on your screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Don't forget that our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.